Hey there guys, Portal Master 9351 here, and in this video I want to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind as of lately, and it's, are Skylanders going to retain their value after the franchise is discontinued? Now I know what you're thinking, Portal Master, you're thinking Skylanders is going to get discontinued? And no, that's not what I've been thinking about recently, but recently I have gotten into a game, and it's a game that is sort of in the franchise of Magic the Gathering, but it's totally different. And it's called Magic the Gathering Arena of the Planeswalkers. And so now I think you're probably wondering, well, what does this have to do with Skylanders? And in retaining their value, that is. And it's going to make sense in a second. So it is a reincarnation of a game that once existed called Heroescape. Heroescape ran from, I believe, 2004 or 2002. I think it was 2004 to 2010 when it was discontinued. And what the game Heroescape was, you would take, I have some old Heroescape terrain pieces that I bought off eBay since I've gotten interested in it. But you would take these terrain hexes like this, and you would snap them together, and you could form, various terrain, styles. You could build them however you wanted. Now, Heroescape terrain, I bought not too much of this, but it was still $15 after everything was said and done, when initially it could have probably been bought for about $6 back when the game was still being produced. Now, so again, what does this have to do with Skylanders? Well, Heroescape is a prime example of something that a lot of people did not... Well, it's kind of hard to explain. A lot of people are now interested in getting old Heroescape stuff now that it has been reincarnated as Magic the Gathering Arena of the Planeswalkers. So it's something to be it's worth noting that Heroescape terrain was basically worthless in 2010 when it was discontinued. It was essentially worthless. But now it's worth so much, and like, this doesn't even scratch the surface. These terrain pieces right here, there are additional sets that are rarer or there weren't as many made that are worth like $200 and could be purchased for $20 back in the day. And so it sort of made me think about what's going to happen to Skylanders when it's discontinued. Not that I think that's going to be anytime soon. I don't think that that's going to happen at least for the next 5 years or 4 years or something along that line. I don't think we'll see anything until the end of the decade. Toys to Life is here to stay, at least for a good bit longer. But anyways, it's been speculated in the past that the rarest or the most expensive Skylanders will end up being these guys. Just random little core characters. Not Food Fight, because he came in a starter pack. I just have them sitting here. I just plucked 2 random ones. I didn't even think about Food Fight being in a starter pack. But it'll just be like random, little core or giant characters that are, normal, common, run-of-the-mill Skylanders that they made thousands upon thousands of. And, right now, you can buy Chill, I think for probably like $6 or $7 on eBay right now in the box. Now, even though you can't get her anymore, or at least you can't, she's not shipped out anymore. Plenty of Toys R Us's and Walmarts, I'm sure, still have loads of these guys sitting around. I'm not entirely sure. I don't usually look at the giant stuff. I'm usually just looking at Supercharger stuff. But I'm sure that there are still Chills sitting on shelves around Walmarts and Toys R Us's, specifically Toys R Us's. I know they have so much SSA and giant stuff. So I'm sure there's still some of her sitting around on shelves. So why are they going to be worth more than, for example, Enchanted Hoot Loop? Why? And I think that right now, the answer's pretty obvious. And when I say chill, I mean in the box chills. Why? Because everyone keeps their chase and normal variants in the box. Everyone, not everyone, but people who keep stuff in the box. It's mostly these guys, as well as chase variants. Some people do unbox these, but like, what's going to end up being rare are not going to be the variants that everyone kept in the box. You know, Polar Whirlwind is a bit of an exception, you could say, because Polar Whirlwind had a very limited release, and she's now worth, I think, 35, maybe 40. It's been a little while since I've looked. I just know she's worth well over the I don't know why I bought this for 11 at GameStop. That's normally Toys R Us's pricing, but I bought it for 11 at GameStop, and it's worth like 4 times that now. So, I mean, that's pretty significant. But why are these guys going to be worth it? No one keeps these in boxes. That's why. No one keeps Skylanders in normal Skylanders in boxes. They're going to be the ones that end up being worth a lot if you keep them in the box. So maybe for those of you who keep them in the box or are unboxing them or don't particularly care to have them displayed in a certain way, I might recommend that you leave them in the box because you can play with them on the portal while they're in the box. And some people would say, well, there's the issue of size. What if I want to play with 2 Skylanders? And I made a video a long time ago about daisy chaining portals together. You can take a plugged-in portal and a not plugged-in portal and sit them beside each other, and both of them will start working because of the way that near-field communications work. So you can play with like these 2 on separate portals as long as the portals are touching each other, and it would be just fine. I've heard some people say don't do that, but I have never experienced any problems with daisy chaining portals together. So, I mean, I would recommend keeping these guys in the box if you don't have a display if you have more room than I do. This is all the room I have. I've got to make the most of it, and the boxes take up way more room than just the individual figure. So I'm just going to basically continue to do what I've already done. But I think that it's worth noting that in the box, normal characters will probably be worth the most. The variants in the boxes, not chase variants, but normal variants that stay in the box, will probably end up dropping down to about retail value after the game is discontinued. They may go up a little bit, but not a lot. Chase variants, however, I can tell you will retain their full value, if not get more expensive. That will also depend on how long the franchise stays around. For instance, if the franchise goes 5 more years and then dies, then the chase variants may not be worth as much as if the franchise goes another 15 years or achieves Pokemon status and does not ever die, then it could be worth so much in the future if it is eventually discontinued. Like right now, there are a lot of Pokemon things that, you know, they're collector's edition, but they're not terribly rare. But just wait, 50 years down the road when when they stop making Pokemon games, just wait. There's going to be such a humongous market for old Nintendo stuff. And your game that may have been worth 30 Platinum, Pokemon Platinum that was maybe worth like 30 or 40, that's going to be worth probably around 100 when Pokemon is discontinued. Because so many people are going to be like, hey, they're not going to make any more. Let's relive Pokemon. Let me go buy these games that I owned when I was 10. Something like that. You're going to see these, and it repeats itself without question with franchises that go on for a long period of time. So chase variants will definitely stay the same, and they'll increase based on the number of years that Skylanders goes. Why is that? Well, they only made 10,000, well, I don't know. I think they made like 11,500 Flock Stump Smashes or something like that. And that number is never going to increase. It's only going to decrease. And it's going to decrease because people are going to lose them. They're going to get destroyed. They're going to get accidentally thrown away. They will get rarer and rarer. People will lose them. Stuff like that. They'll put them in a storage locker, and then it'll go on Storage Wars, and then they'll open up the locker, and then they'll be like, hey, this is just a stupid action figure. Let me throw it out. Stuff like that is gonna happen. So that 11,500 might be like 11,000, and then 10,500, and it's gonna continue to go down. Not rapidly, but it will go down, and the market will increase or stay the same once again, depending on how long the franchise runs. Now, I want to say one other thing: Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies, for those of you that don't know, were these little stuff, they may still make them, I honestly don't know. They were like a plush stuffed animal type thing, but instead of like the stuffing that goes into, like, a teddy bear, for instance, they were these little itty-bitty beads. And I know that doesn't sound very comfortable, but they were pretty soft. I mean, the beads kind of had a lot of give to them. But anyways, the Beanie Babies were this huge fad, I think in the 80s or the 90s, that everyone thought, hey, these things are going to be worth so much someday. Let me buy up every single one of them I can find. They were completely worthless, Beanie Babies. They are, like, worth pennies. Maybe not pennies, but they're worth, like, the same, if not less, than what they were bought for. And so people would go out and they would spend thousands of dollars on Beanie Babies because they thought, hey, someday these will be worth something. And they never were worth anything. And I don't think that Skylanders will go down that route of just becoming utterly worthless. Because unlike the Beanie Babies, the market was not completely oversaturated. There will be some figures that end up becoming kind of worthless, like Flashwing, for instance. There were so many of those that they are kind of worthless. Boomer is probably going to eventually go back up in price. It went down, but it's probably going to go back up. Same thing with Ghost Roaster. I can almost guarantee it. Because there were only a few of those made, and those did not sell well. And so the market was not completely oversaturated. I mean, it eventually got to the point where Walmarts were throwing out Boomers because that's all they had. That was all that they had. And so, I mean, Boomers, since there were so few, not so few, but less of them sold, will retain their value for sure. And other Skylanders, just like Chill, for instance, there weren't thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of these things made. There were a lot, but there weren't so many. And it's not like everyone was like, hey, I see 10 Chills, let me go buy 10 Chills. That only happened with SSA. SSA was a bit different, though, because there were fewer characters being made. But at the same time, it's not flooding the market. So I think that Skylanders will not go the Beanie Babies route and completely lose all value down the road. They will still be worth something, but whether or not they're worth a substantial amount, that remains to be seen. So, I just kind of wanted to discuss this whole, Skylanders being worth something in the future thing, because a lot of people have said there's been some pretty big discussion topics on Dark Spyro about, are these things going to be worth something someday? And, we don't really know. We can only speculate because we're not going to know until it actually happens. It's like a stock market. It's going to go up and it's going to go down and it's going to go up and it's going to go down. But where it stops, nobody knows. And does it stop? Not really. So, that's really all I have to say on this topic. This has been Portal Master 9351. Stay tuned for more. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Oh, and my laptop is getting back here on Monday. So once it gets back, I should be able to start uploading stuff again, at least gameplay-wise, which is going to be awesome because I got back into that and then the laptop died on me again. But we're going to get back into it this time for realsies this time. That's all for now. See you next time. Goodbye.